It was November 22nd of 2022. It was the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. And I had boarded a flight, an American Airlines flight from Dallas-Fort Worth to LaGuardia Airport in New York City. I was sitting in the aisle seat, had put all my stuff away and was kind of, settling in for the flight and just noticing different people coming down the aisle. And as it was getting towards the end of boarding, I noticed a woman coming down the aisle that just looked like she had maybe had a rough day. And it was not an early flight. This was like a 12:30 flight. And so I thought to myself, if she stops anywhere close to my row, I'm going to ask if I can help her with her bag. Literally because she looked like she was having a rough morning or a rough day. And so, sure enough, she stops right on my row. I look up and kind of start to get up and say, "Ma'am, can I help you with your bag?" And she says,
"Yes, please."
And so I hop up and I help her with her bag. And so she starts to take her coat off and it's getting caught on her shoulder. And so I'm like, "Hey, can I help you with your coat?" And she says,
"Yes, please."
And I'm thinking to myself, I read this one right. She's had a rough day already. And so she sits down. She ends up sitting in the middle seat right next to me. And I think to myself, I'm going to kind of wait till she gets situated. And once she does, I'm going to check in with her and see how she's doing. And so she has her hands full of a myriad of things. And so
my iPad, my cell phone, my chapstick, all those things.
And I can't remember if it's before or after we take off. But once she gets everything put away, I ask her, I said, "Ma'am, are you doing okay? Are you doing all right this morning?" And she says, "Yes, I'm just exhausted. All I want to do is sleep all the way to New York City." And so I'm not the sharpest tool in the box, but I can take a hint. And I thought to myself, all right, I didn't think it. I said it out loud. You ought to do that. You ought to get some rest. You should just sleep all the way to the city. And she says, "What about you? Why are you going to the city?" So I'm going to see my youngest son. He managed a restaurant in Manhattan and lives in the Bronx. And she goes, "Oh, I'm going to see my dad." And next thing you know, we start talking. We talk about a lot.
Yeah. The first thing was that we talked about, I'd just lost my mom 2 months before this trip, and this is the first time I was going to see my dad. It was the first holiday without her. And so I was just, frazzled, but we talked about that. And then we went on to our stories about our lives, all the good stuff, the hard stuff. We both had been through divorces. Both have kids and super proud of them, love them to pieces, and shared a lot there. Talked about our travels. He happened to mention that he was nomadic, and I was like, I think I know what that means, but I'm not sure. And I'm like, okay, we'll have to circle back on that one. And anyway, I was like, okay, this guy's interesting and this is fun. So we just continued the conversation the whole time and kind of fought for airtime back and forth for 3.5 hours.
Yeah, we talked about everything. We I think maybe because we're on a long flight and we thought we probably would never see each other again.
So we were very open.
We were very open, and it was pretty refreshing. And so we literally laughed hysterically. We quite literally cried about a lot of the hard stuff we'd been through, and kind of for each other, and the things that we had each been through separately. I remember at one time we were kind of talking about the things that we had done in our past, and we found out that we both had worked for the same advertising agency at one point, different points in our career. Knew a lot of the same people, so that was kind of cool, kind of fun. And she kind of is talking about what we're doing now. She shared with me that she's an interior designer in the Dallas area. So it was fun to learn and understand exactly what an interior designer does. And I now am doing life coaching and speaking. And so she's like, "Hey, my son is a senior at University of Arkansas, maybe I could hire you sometime to coach him. Do you have a business card? So I gave her my business
Just as a
card.
graduation present
Yeah.
kind of thing.
So I gave her my business card, and we talked about coaching stuff for a while, and then we landed. We kind of suddenly, the plane jolted, and we're like,
Are you already
dang,
here?
we're in New York City, and it went by really quick. But it wasn't over. We still had to make a baggage claim. And so we got off the plane talking. We went through LaGuardia, talking, down the escalators, talking. We never stopped talking.
Yep.
We get to baggage claim finally, and it's time to part. And we don't hug or handshake even. We just tell each other goodbye and happy Thanksgiving, and hope you have a great time with your dad. She tells me, I hope you have a great time with your son. And we walk away. I get about 30 yards away, and it hits me. She has my business card. I don't even know her last name. All I know is Molly. And so I turn around thinking I'm going to go try to find her, find out what her last name is. And I mean, she is gone in the sea of humanity that is LaGuardia Airport during the holidays. And I'm like, oh, well, you know what?
I remember looking back for you.
So, she's nowhere to be found. And I just turn around and start to plan out the way I'm going to get to Manhattan to see my son. And I think to myself, that was a really sweet time. And chances are I'll never see her again. And that'll be fine, because I met a really special human, a really neat person. If I do see her again, great. I have a great friend. If I don't, that's fine too. And I turned and moved on towards my Thanksgiving, and really thinking to myself, that was nice, but it's over.
Same.